Ciao, I'm Franca with Cigar Sense. I'm often told, hey, I'm really not able to pick up those aromas in cigars. I don't think I'll ever be able to make it. And it's true, sometimes I remember having smoking cigarettes for a long time, and it's more challenging for them. However, please don't give up. I'm going to give you some tips in this video and in another video coming soon. A lot has to do with training, but also a lot on focus and on something else that I'm going to tell you about. Today, I will talk about what you can do alone. In another video, I'll talk about what you can do when you actually want to share your cigar in company or friends, in a lounge, in a virtual Zoom or whatever. So when you're alone, you can tackle the problem in different ways. Of course, you've already heard that it's important to smell anything, and actually briefly focusing every time on what you are smelling. So your sniffs need to be short and intense. You can smell the spices from your kitchen. You can smell the natural elements in your yard when you hike. You can smell the leather armchair and so on. Now, we know that there are elements that you can't easily find around you, or there are foods that actually you can't just smell like that to get a good sense for what they deliver. You have to either melt them or eat them. Think about chocolate. You can't really smell a lot if you get a little piece of dark chocolate, especially out of your fridge. Even worse with the low temperature, you can't really smell a lot unless you melt it or eat it. So the next step that a lot of people recommend, and I think it's good advice, is to use those little vials that contain each a specific aroma. They are made by different companies. For instance, Le Nez du Vin, Aromaster, Nick Coulthard also produces some of them. And they are great. Sometimes they are very perfumey though. And they don't deliver exactly the aromas in the way that you would find them in the lit cigar. That is really the challenge of producing this type of aroma vials. So this is why at Cigar Sense, actually, we make our aroma standards with a cigar base. And another thing is really paying attention to the fragrance that you add so that it doesn't come over as too perfumey. In that way, then that really can help. Those vials can really help cigar smokers recognize the aromas in the way they would find them in the lit cigar. Now, playing with these vials and focusing on memorizing what you smell each time is great. However, what really makes the difference is making associations. This means you don't only try to memorize the smell and its name, but you attach something else to it. And you attach it with emotions. The more emotions you put in the associations, the better it works. Remember this. So think about your family, about your lover, about places that you were fascinated by. Think about beautiful music, colors, anything that really gets your emotions going, because that is really working, I can tell you, and it doesn't cost anything. Now, you can work on pleasant aromas or unpleasant aromas because you can make positive or negative associations. However, no need to really work on the unpleasant ones because we are genetically wired to recognize those first before even the pleasant aromas. That's the fight or flight evolutionary type of response. It's really in us, and we don't need to do anything about it. So let's focus on the pleasant aromas, what we like. Focus on, for instance, my mother used to make a delicious risotto with saffron. Saffron is a spice that you can find pretty often in cigars. If people are able to recognize it, it's there. Or you can memorize the armchair of leather, the leather where your grandfather loved to sit. Now be careful. When you describe a cigar, don't use the association. I'm not talking about your grandfather. I'm talking about recipes, cocktails, desserts, snacks. These are recipes. They contain a lot of ingredients. So if I think of cane sugar, I'm not going to say that the cigar smells like Petit Punch. If I think of dark chocolate, I'm not going to say that the cigar tastes or smells like a Sachertorte, because not many people would understand what I mean and what the cocktail is, and especially people would be lost in trying to understand which ingredients I'm talking about. So that makes it complex. Let's keep it simple. Cane sugar, dark chocolate, whatever it is. This is it for today. You can learn, of course, a lot more on this type of topics in a cigar tasting course, but let me know if you have more questions on today's video. And if you found this video useful, please give us a like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you. Ciao.